What happens when a morning show host lets power go to his head and decides to ambush one of country music's biggest stars on live television? It only took 35 seconds of arrogant questioning before Faith Hill had enough and walked off the set of Good Morning America in what would become one of the most jaw-dropping moments in morning television history. The studio lights were bright that morning, and the energy on set felt tense from the very beginning. Faith Hill sat on the iconic curved couch, positioned between Robin Roberts and George Stephanopoulos, with Sam Champion holding court from his spot on the far end. She had come to talk about her new album, her upcoming tour, and maybe share some stories about life with Tim McGraw and their daughters. What she got instead was an interrogation. Sam Champion started the segment with what seemed like a normal greeting. Faith Hill, welcome back to Good Morning America. It's always a pleasure to have you here. His smile was wide, but there was something calculated behind it. Thank you so much for having me, Faith replied, her voice warm and genuine. I'm excited to be here. Robin Roberts jumped in, trying to steer things toward the music. Your new album is incredible. We've been playing it all week in the studio. What inspired this particular collection of songs? Faith's face lit up. Well, I've been on this journey of really exploring what it means to be authentic, to be vulnerable in your art. These songs are deeply personal. They're about love, loss, growth, and finding yourself again. George Stephanopoulos nodded thoughtfully. There's definitely a rawness to this record that feels different from your previous work. Exactly, Faith said, leaning forward. I wanted to strip away all the production tricks and just let the emotion speak for itself. Some of these songs I wrote alone in my kitchen at 2 a.m, just me and a guitar. That's when Sam Champion decided to take the conversation in a completely different direction. Speaking of being alone, there have been rumors circulating for months now about trouble in your marriage. Care to address those? The temperature in the studio seemed to drop 10 degrees. Robin Roberts' eyes went wide. George Stephanopoulos shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Faith's smile faltered, but she maintained her composure. I'm here to talk about my music, Sam, she said evenly. Sam Champion wasn't backing down. He leaned forward, his voice dripping with false concern. But Faith, your fans deserve to know the truth. Is it true that you and Tim have been living in separate homes? That's not true, Faith said, her jaw tightening. And it's also not appropriate to discuss on a morning show that's supposed to be about my album. Robin Roberts tried to intervene. Sam, let's get back to the music. Faith, tell us about the lead single. But Sam Champion was on a roll. I think our viewers are smart enough to want the real story. You've built your entire brand on this image of the perfect country couple, the perfect family. But sources close to you have told us that things aren't so perfect behind closed doors. Faith's eyes flashed with anger. Sources close to me? What sources? You mean tabloid journalists who make up stories for clicks? George Stephanopoulos cleared his throat. Sam, I think we should respect Faith's privacy here. Sam Champion turned to George with a dismissive wave. George, we're journalists. It's our job to ask the tough questions. Faith knew what she was signing up for when she agreed to come on this show. Actually, Faith interjected, her voice rising slightly, I signed up to promote my album. I signed up to talk about my art. I didn't sign up to be ambushed with ridiculous rumors about my personal life. Robin Roberts reached over and touched Faith's arm gently. You're absolutely right. Sam, we need to move on. But Sam Champion was undeterred. The public has a right to know. You're a public figure. You put yourself out there. You post on social media about your family. You do interviews about your relationship. You can't have it both ways, Faith. Faith's face was flushed now. Posting a photo of my family on Christmas morning is not an invitation for you to speculate about my marriage on national television. There's a difference between sharing moments of joy and having someone accuse you of lying about your entire life. I'm not accusing you of anything, Sam said, his tone condescending. I'm simply asking you to address the rumors. If they're not true, just say so. Why are you getting so defensive? Defensive? Faith's voice cracked slightly. You ambush me with false information. You ignore every attempt to redirect this conversation, and then you accuse me of being defensive? George Stephanopoulos tried again. Sam, this is really not the direction we should be going. Faith is our guest. Sam Champion turned to the camera. I apologize to our viewers who might find this uncomfortable, but this is what real journalism looks like. We don't just serve up softball questions to celebrities who come on our show for free promotion. Faith stood up abruptly, though she didn't remove her microphone yet. Real journalism? Is that what you call this? Making up stories and then demanding that I defend myself against your fiction? Robin Roberts stood up too, trying to calm the situation. Faith, please sit down. We can talk about the album. Sam, that's enough. Sam Champion looked directly at Faith, his expression smug. I find it interesting that you're so reluctant to talk about your marriage. Usually when people avoid a topic this aggressively, it means there's some truth to what's being said. That was the breaking point. Faith's voice was steady, but filled with controlled fury. You want to know the truth, Sam? The truth is that I have 3 beautiful daughters who might be watching this right now. The truth is that I have a husband who I love deeply and who loves me. The truth is that our marriage, like any marriage, has its ups and downs. But it's ours. It's private. It's sacred. And it's none of your business. Everything is our business when you're a celebrity, Sam shot back. You make millions of dollars off of your fans. They buy your albums. They come to your concerts. They follow your every move. Don't you think they deserve honesty? Faith shook her head in disbelief. Honesty? You wouldn't know honesty if it hit you in the face. You're sitting here manufacturing drama for ratings. You're making up stories, and then acting like I'm the problem for not playing along. George Stephanopoulos stood up now too. Okay, I think we need to take a commercial break. But Sam Champion wasn't finished. Before we go to break, Faith, I have to ask. There are photos of Tim in Nashville while you were in Los Angeles. Photos of him with another woman at a restaurant. What do you have to say about that? Robin Roberts gasped audibly. Sam, stop it right now. Faith's hands were shaking. That woman was his sister. His sister who was visiting from Louisiana. But you don't care about facts, do you? You just care about creating a scandal where there isn't one. His sister? Sam's tone was mocking. That's convenient. Yes, his sister, Faith repeated. Her name is Tracy. She's a teacher. She has 2 kids. She was in town visiting, and Tim took her to dinner. But you and your sources conveniently left that part out, didn't you? Sam Champion shrugged. Our sources didn't mention a sister. Because your sources don't exist, Faith said, her voice breaking slightly. Or if they do, they're lying to you. Either way, you're sitting here destroying my reputation based on gossip and half-truths. George Stephanopoulos moved toward Faith. Faith, I am so sorry about this. This is not how we conduct interviews. Robin Roberts was visibly upset. This is completely unacceptable, Sam. You owe Faith an apology. Sam Champion crossed his arms. I'm not apologizing for doing my job. If Faith can't handle tough questions, maybe she shouldn't be doing interviews. Faith laughed bitterly. Tough questions? You think asking me to defend my marriage against made-up rumors is tough journalism? That's not journalism at all. That's exploitation. That's cruelty. I'm giving you a platform to set the record straight, Sam said. I don't need your platform, Faith replied, her voice firm. I came here in good faith to talk about something I'm proud of, something I've poured my heart into, and you've turned it into a circus. Sam Champion leaned back in his chair. I think you're overreacting. This is what happens in interviews. We ask questions. Sometimes they're uncomfortable. Uncomfortable? Faith's voice rose. You've accused me of lying, You've implied my marriage is falling apart, and you've dismissed every single thing I've said. That's not uncomfortable. That's hostile. Robin Roberts stepped between Faith and Sam. Faith, please don't let him ruin this for you. Your album is beautiful. Your fans are going to love it. That's what matters. Faith smiled at Robin, tears forming in her eyes. Thank you, Robin. You've always been kind to me. George Stephanopoulos nodded. We're all fans of your work, Faith. This should never have happened. But Sam Champion wasn't done. I just find it fascinating that someone who claims to be so open and authentic is so unwilling to talk about a simple question. Faith turned to face him fully. Simple question? There was nothing simple about what you just did. You attacked me. You attacked my family. You did it on live television, knowing I would be caught off guard, knowing I couldn't defend myself properly. You seem to be defending yourself just fine, Sam said with a smirk. Because I have to, Faith said. Because if I don't, people like you will twist my silence into confirmation of your lies. George Stephanopoulos put his hand on Sam's shoulder. Sam, you need to apologize. Now. Sam Champion looked at George, then at Robin, then back at Faith. I apologize if you felt attacked. That wasn't my intention. Faith shook her head. If I felt attacked, I was attacked. And your non-apology just proves that you don't actually care about what you've done. Robin Roberts spoke up. Sam, that's not good enough. You need to give her a real apology. Sam Champion sighed dramatically. Fine, I'm sorry, Faith. I'm sorry that you're too sensitive to handle legitimate questions about your public life. The studio went silent. Even the crew members standing behind the cameras looked shocked. George Stephanopoulos closed his eyes in frustration. Robin Roberts looked like she wanted to cry. Faith took a deep breath, and when she spoke, her voice was calm but filled with quiet dignity. You know what, Sam? I feel sorry for you. I really do. Because somewhere along the way, you forgot what it means to treat people with respect. You forgot that behind every celebrity is a real person with real feelings, with a family, with a life that matters beyond what you can use for ratings. Don't feel sorry for me, Sam said dismissively. Feel sorry for yourself for being so thin-skinned. Faith started removing her microphone. I'm not thin-skinned. I'm a human being who refuses to be disrespected. There's a difference. Robin Roberts reached for her. Faith, please, don't go. Let's finish the segment. We'll talk about the album. We'll talk about the tour. Forget about Sam. But Faith was already unhooking the mic pack from her waist. I can't, Robin. I can't sit here and pretend like this is okay. I can't let my daughters see me accepting this kind of treatment. George Stephanopoulos nodded sadly. I understand, and I'm truly sorry. Sam Champion rolled his eyes. This is ridiculous. You're walking out over a few questions? Faith handed her microphone to a nearby crew member. I'm walking out because you've shown me exactly who you are, Sam, and I don't want any part of it. Your loss, Sam muttered. Faith turned to him one last time. No, Sam, it's yours, because you had the chance to have a real conversation with someone who has an incredible story to tell. You had the chance to talk about music, about creativity, about passion and perseverance. But you chose gossip instead. You chose cruelty. That's your loss, not mine. Robin Roberts hugged Faith tightly. We love you. Please come back when Sam isn't here. Faith hugged her back. I love you too, Robin. And George, thank you for trying. George Stephanopoulos shook her hand. You handled this with more grace than it deserved. Sam Champion stood up. Are we really going to let her just walk off the set? We're live. This is unprofessional. Faith turned to face him one last time. You want to talk about unprofessional? Look in the mirror, Sam. What you did today was shameful. You should be embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed, Sam said coldly. I'm proud of myself for not backing down. Backing down from what? Faith asked. From basic human decency? Congratulations on that achievement. Sam Champion's face reddened. You can't talk to me like that. I can, and I just did, Faith replied. Because unlike you, I don't hide behind false politeness while I'm attacking someone. If I have something to say, I say it directly. Robin Roberts tried one more time. Faith, please, let's just go to commercial and reset. But Faith was already walking toward the exit. I'm sorry, Robin. I can't do this. Tell my publicist I'll reschedule with a different show. Sam Champion called after her. Good luck finding a show that won't ask you real questions. Faith stopped in her tracks and turned around slowly. Real questions? You still think that's what you did today? Let me tell you what real questions look like, Sam. Real questions are about the music, about the creative process, about the stories behind the songs. Real questions show genuine curiosity and respect for your guest. What you did today was a hit job disguised as an interview. George Stephanopoulos stepped forward. Faith, for what it's worth, you're absolutely right, and this will be addressed. Sam Champion scoffed. Addressed? I didn't do anything wrong. Robin Roberts turned on him. Sam, you did everything wrong. You ambushed her. You made up stories. You refused to drop it when we asked you to. You were rude, condescending, and completely out of line. I was asking questions, Sam insisted. No, George said firmly. You were attacking. There's a difference, and you know it. Faith watched this exchange with a mix of sadness and vindication. Thank you, both for standing up for me. It means more than you know. Sam Champion threw his hands up. Fine, everyone gang up on me. I'm the bad guy for trying to get a real story. You're the bad guy for forgetting that our guests are people, Robin said quietly. They're not just content for us to exploit. Faith nodded. Exactly. And that's why I'm leaving. Because I refuse to be content. I refuse to let someone treat me like I'm less than human just because I'm in the public eye. Sam Champion sat back down on the couch. This is going to make you look bad, you know. Walking off a live show. Faith smiled sadly. I'd rather look bad for standing up for myself than look good for accepting disrespect. At least I'll be able to sleep at night. Whatever helps you sleep, Sam muttered. George Stephanopoulos looked at the camera. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have the weather and traffic. But Faith was already gone, walking through the studio doors and into the hallway beyond. Behind her, she could hear Robin Roberts' voice, raised in anger, and George Stephanopoulos trying to maintain order. She could hear Sam Champion defending himself, insisting he'd done nothing wrong. The crew members she passed on her way out looked at her with sympathy and respect. One of them gave her a thumbs up. Another mouthed the words, "Good for you." Faith smiled at them, grateful for their silent support. Her publicist met her in the green room, eyes wide with concern. What happened? I was watching the monitors. Faith sat down heavily on the couch. Sam Champion happened. He ambushed me with questions about my marriage, accused me of lying, and then acted like I was the problem for not playing along. Her publicist shook her head. I'm so sorry. I had no idea he was planning that. Neither did I, Faith said. But I'm glad I walked out. I'm glad I didn't sit there and take it. You did the right thing, her publicist assured her. Everyone watching is going to see that you were treated unfairly. Faith nodded slowly. I hope so. I hope they see that there's a line between asking questions and attacking someone. Sam crossed that line today. Back in the studio, the commercial break was ending. George Stephanopoulos looked directly into the camera. Before we continue, I want to apologize to Faith Hill and to our viewers for what just happened. That was not the kind of interview we stand for here at Good Morning America. Robin Roberts nodded in agreement. Faith Hill is a talented artist and a wonderful person. She deserved better than what she got today. Sam Champion sat silently, his face unreadable. He didn't apologize. He didn't acknowledge that anything had gone wrong. He just sat there, defiant and unmoved. The show continued, but the energy was different. The remaining segments felt hollow and awkward. The chemistry between the hosts had been shattered. Robin kept shooting angry glances at Sam. George looked disappointed and frustrated, and Sam acted as if nothing had happened at all. In the green room, Faith Hill gathered her things. Her hands had stopped shaking. Her breathing had returned to normal. She felt drained, but also strangely empowered. She had stood up for herself. She had drawn a line. She had refused to be treated poorly, even on live television. Her phone was already buzzing with messages of support. Fellow artists, friends, family members, all reaching out to tell her they were proud of her. Tim had texted 3 times, each message more supportive than the last. Her daughters had sent heart emojis. Faith smiled at her phone. This was what mattered, not Sam Champion's opinion, not the ratings, not even the album promotion. What mattered was maintaining her dignity and showing her daughters that you don't have to accept mistreatment from anyone, no matter how powerful they might seem. Back on set, Robin Roberts was wrapping up the show. That's all for today. Thank you for watching Good Morning America. Have a wonderful day. As soon as the cameras cut, she turned to Sam Champion. We need to talk. Now. George Stephanopoulos stood up. My office. 5 minutes. Sam Champion finally showed some emotion. Anger. Are you serious right now? I'm the one in trouble. Yes, Robin said firmly. You are absolutely in trouble. Faith Hill heard about this later from a crew member who reached out to her. She heard about the meeting in George's office, about how Robin had demanded an apology, about how Sam had refused. She heard about the producers getting involved, about the tense discussions that followed. But in that moment, in the green room, all Faith knew was that she had done the right thing. She had protected herself, her family, and her dignity. She had shown that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away. The door to the green room opened, and Robin Roberts stepped in. Faith, I am so sorry. Faith stood and hugged her. It's not your fault, Robin. I should have stopped it sooner, Robin said, tears in her eyes. I should have shut him down the second he started. You tried, Faith said gently. You and George both tried. Sam made his choice. Robin pulled back and looked at her. You were incredible out there. The way you stood up for yourself. The way you articulated exactly what was wrong with what he was doing. That took real courage. Faith smiled. I was terrified. You didn't look terrified, Robin said. You looked strong. George Stephanopoulos appeared in the doorway. Faith, I want to personally apologize for what happened today. That was unacceptable, and it will never happen again. Thank you, George, Faith said. I appreciate that. We'd love to have you back, George continued. Whenever you're ready, a proper interview about your music, about your tour, whatever you want to talk about. Faith considered. This. I'd like that, but only if Sam isn't involved. Understood, George said immediately. Completely understood. Robin nodded. Next time, it'll be just us. We'll do it right. Faith gathered her bag and her coat. I'm going to hold you to that. As she left the building, photographers were already gathering outside, having heard about the confrontation. Faith walked past them with her head held high, not stopping to answer questions, not explaining herself. She had said everything she needed to say inside that studio. The car ride back to her hotel was quiet. Faith looked out the window at the city passing by, processing everything that had just happened. Part of her couldn't believe she had actually walked off a live television show. Part of her couldn't believe it had come to that. But mostly, she felt relief. Relief that she hadn't compromised herself. Relief that she had set a boundary and enforced it. Relief that her daughters would see her standing up for what was right. Her phone rang. It was Tim. "Hey, baby," she answered. "I just watched what happened," Tim said, his voice filled with pride and anger. "Are you okay?" "I'm okay," Faith said. "I'm actually more than okay. I'm proud of myself." "You should be," Tim said. "What Sam did was disgraceful, but the way you handled it was perfect." Faith smiled. "I couldn't let him talk about us like that. I couldn't let him spread lies about our family." "I know," Tim said, "and you didn't. You shut it down. You were amazing." They talked for the rest of the ride, Tim reassuring her, Faith replaying the moments, both of them marveling at how quickly everything had escalated. By the time Faith reached her hotel, she felt grounded again, centered, sure of her decision, because in the end, that's what it was all about. Not the ratings, not the promotion, not the headlines. It was about knowing your value and refusing to let anyone make you forget it. It was about drawing a line and standing behind it, no matter the cost. It was about showing the people who matter most, your family, your children, yourself, that respect is not negotiable. Faith Hill had come to Good Morning America to talk about her music. She left having given a masterclass in self-respect, in dignity, in the power of knowing when to walk away. And that lesson resonated far beyond the walls of that television studio, reaching everyone who had ever felt disrespected, dismissed, or attacked, and showing them that they too could stand up and say, enough is enough.